Moving on, our next speaker today can also be mistaken for a model because he's always so impeccably groomed. When Lichan first came to my office last year, he spent 4 hours, I think, talking non-stop. And guess what he spoke about? Coffee, yeah, exactly. My colleagues were like, "Kila kota kwazo," you know? So anyway, he is a coffee connoisseur, and he has sparked the coffee revolution in Nagaland. So I invite Lichan on stage, and let us all give him a warm round of applause and welcome him.
Thank you for the kind introduction. I have a similar story like Leno. I just thought I wouldn't share, but I kind of felt impromptu, but I just would like to share with you. I grew up in a family that isn't very rich. My dad is a police. And you all know what kind of source of money you can always expect if your dad is a cop. But my mom decided that we're not going to use any extra money that comes from you to pay for this children's education. And the outcome was because we'll have to work really, really hard. We had 4 to 5 different fields every year. One for the pig, one for vegetable, one for firewood. The list goes on. And I remember myself selling vegetables from door to door till my 8th standard with my uniforms on. I put on the sling, the basket. On my way, I'll sell. And once it's done, I pass on my basket to my mom, and I go to my school with still the mark on my head. And you know, the hair fixer, 25 rupees, was very famous at the time. Green color. I stopped by a river maybe and just wet it to fix it again, not knowing the green color is dropping from the side or something. And I was thinking that was rough as a kid to see all that. And it's embarrassing, like Leno said sometimes. I went selling frogs at times. And there were times when I remember particularly one day, and in my neighborhood, a guy told me not to come close to him because he's scared of the frog. And as a kid, holding from right, left, and I have no idea why he hated me so much, but I just had to go on selling just to make my mom proud that I've sold everything off. Thank you. Business is very cruel out there. I cannot let my emotions hold me back, which is why I think we need a lot of business people like you all. And the little effort that EA is doing to bring us in here to let us share our story to you itself is a big encouragement, so thanks very much. We all know business is expensive, but you'll have to know ideas are free. Yes? An idea can worth $1 million, or idea can mean nothing. Now the truth is everyone has an idea. Everyone. But here's the thing about idea. The idea can send you to complete bankruptcy, or an idea can also make you a millionaire, or might be nothing. So my question to you is, which idea we are holding on today? Is your idea too unreasonably risky that it's going to send you to bankruptcy? Or your idea too easy that every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the town start doing the same thing and you fail miserably? What is your idea? And when we talk about ideas, a lot of us have an idea and we don't know how to execute it. An idea will remain just an idea, and the value is as good as nothing if you don't execute it. But the problem lies here. I cannot execute my idea, then let me tell you, that isn't a good idea. Forget about it. And if you have an idea and you're wondering, why I don't have cash? How do I start this? I don't have money. But let me tell you this. I always say this, and I will. If you cannot make money without money, even if you have a lot of money, you will never be able to make money. And so now our challenge is how to have that idea that will convincingly, rationally, practically, yet in a risky situation, but make it happen. But I also want to tell you this. If your business is not risky enough, that isn't a good business. And so I always say this, if you have an easy business idea, that equals to difficulty in growth. If you have a risky business, equals to high possibilities of your growth. Now, there are two types of business when it comes to us. The first one is when there is already a market and you try to walk into it with your innovations and bring solutions to problems, like our gentleman who just innovated a sawmill. There's always in the market a lot of sawmills, and the problem lies in very expensive to invest on and very difficult to move on in terrain in the rural places. So he decided to devise something, a sawmill out of his own idea. He can dismantle into 23 pieces, take everywhere, and get it done in a very cheap way. Now, that's how you also find your way into the market, in the existing market. So there is no excuse if you say that there are a lot of people doing this, so I can't. Please take a moment and think whether you are doing enough to innovate and bring solutions to the problem. And now the second one is when there is no market. That's where Ete Coffee comes in. When we first started, of course, after 2 years, I'll go back to the first, initially how we started, but I'll jump straight to the second year. We invested on 17 lakhs worth machineries coming from Italy, from Spain, from Germany, and from Japan, and we are like loading up our roastery with all these machineries, and honestly, I'm not very sure what we are doing. Because it's not a proven market, and there's a high risk. But one thing I was sure, and that kept me going, I'm going to offer something to my people they have never seen, heard of, or ever thought of. And I begin my own self-styled research into our Northeast states, and I found that there's not even a single cafe, a hotel, or a restaurant nowhere in the Northeast serve a fresh coffee right on the spot. So we brought in a living roastery connected to a cafe where a person can come and see the entire process of how a coffee that is grown in the farm can turn into your cup of coffee. And we make everything open for the customer to access. We don't have a closed door for our machineries. It's open for everyone to come and see. And we involve them in the process of cooking the entire coffee. It's organic. And we also source coffee from 5 districts as of now. So we announced it this week. It's going to be coffee from Dopu village of Mon, or from Kar village of Mogokchung. And so when people get to hear something like that, hey, that's my village, that's where I come from, where do you source, how is it even happening? Don't you think that it was a failure? How did it all happen? And so that gives us an opportunity to talk to them, and immediately we're able to connect with them and sell the coffee, make a lot of money. But I also have to tell you that it isn't cheating. We work really hard on the R&D part of it. We invest a lot of money. For some people, I know that coffees here in Nagaland can be 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 40 rupees, and when they come and find our coffee, like 340 rupees cup of coffee, we do have 70, 80, 90, but why it's so expensive? I also want to ask them, there are people perhaps staying home and said, I can make a nice cup of coffee, I don't have to spend so much on people like them. I'm only asking, will you be willing to invest 17 lakhs in your kitchen just for a cup of coffee in the morning? So there is a reason why cheap coffees are cheap coffee and expensive coffees are expensive coffee. I have no problem buying cheap coffee. I have no problem. I'll just drink and enjoy it. But you make a call whether you want to go for this or that, depending on the situation, right? So when we first started, all I had was a bunch of friends who were really pushing me from behind. One of my friends, he's here, Apem, he said, I'm going to design a free logo for you. Because I was roasting it for myself and for my friends, and people started saying, like, can I buy from you? And my friend Apem said, like, I'll do a free logo for you. Why don't you label it and start branding it and start selling it? So my respect and my love for my friend who really pushed me into doing this. And the cash that I've invested at that point of time was 6,000 rupees just to buy the packaging material. And now we have invested, like I said initially, about 17 lakhs worth on the machineries. We have our own roastery, we have our own coffee bar, we have our mobile coffee bar, we have our own 2 of our own farms, we have 18 people working together, and the list goes on. God has been so very good to us. Now, I just want to quickly tell you about the company, the business, what we do, especially the 5 justice that we talk about in our business. That I thought that will help you give an idea of what we do. We call it justice a cup. So how do you seek justice in a cup of coffee? We believe in 5 justice. Number 1, we will not exploit our farmers. Farmers are the integral part of the entire process chain, and that needs to be acknowledged, and we'll have to bless these people. So what we do is we have this network called EML network, educate them, motivate them, and lead them into selling their coffee. So this is our way of saying that we want to encourage you. So number 1, not exploit them, pay them the international market, and we can even call it fair trade, where if we are satisfied with the coffee, we even pay 50 rupees extra. And people who register with this EML network have the privilege to come and visit our roastery anytime, check out the entire process, how it's done, and they will get to know if they are careless in their harvest, in the process, this is what happens. That way, exchange of learning happens. Number 2 is in the way we employ our own employee. So what we do is, in our business, we decided that we will not exploit these young people who are going to work for us. We know a lot of young people at the age of 18 to 30, they are working so hard in a lot of places. I cannot compare with cafe, it's a different thing. Ours is not cafe, so I'm safe to say that since there is no one who does the same business like ours, but in most cases, the young people work in any private establishment, getting paid 2,000, 3,000, 4, 5, 6, and it goes on for the next 5 or 10 years, and the best part of their life is gone. And they have no idea what to do as they grow old. So we decided that even if it's just the waiter, we're going to pay nothing less than 10,000 rupees. If it's someone behind the bar, thank you. If it's someone behind the bar, nothing less than 17 grand. 17,000 is the least we will pay. And my dream, my goal, our dream is one day, the one sitting behind the coffee bar should be paid more than the ESC. That's just a dream. When I say this one, you might be wondering, like, as if I have money. I don't have money. We're not having a lot of money, but my goal is they should be sustainably employed. That's part of our dream as we grow in the business together. The third one is not to exploit our resources. We all know that, or perhaps I'm wrong, not many of us would know this, that the demand is much, much more, even locally, than the supply. Did you know that? Like I told you, we weren't sure what we're doing, but turns out our local consumption is so high. One of our very potential client is the Maruti Seye Auto. She's right here, Zedino. She knows if she asks for 3, sometimes we send only 1. We'll have to divide among the friends, right? And when we first started in 2016, we started off with an online shopping site, and the demand was a bit too much, going over the top. We decided to pull it down last year. So we need a lot of growers, and these growers need to be educated. People like us need to go back into farming. And when there's a fair trade happens in a coffee, we're not even going to follow the international price. In a fair trade, auction happens. And you have no idea what price your coffee can be sold if proper technical inputs is given. So our goal is to make sure we get it right, not exploit our resources. So a lot of people come forward to us and says, can we buy your coffee? We had bunch of people who want to buy our coffee, but when we ask them, how much do you want? We want 30,000 kilos in a month, every month. All right, sure, we can work that out, but they want only the raw material. And let me tell you this. Nagas have been 99.9 consumer our whole life. What I wear, my glass, my phone, my food, the building, everything we are buying from outside, and how we are buying MRP, and we pay the shipping cost. Our whole life, this is 140 years of Kohima Township, and we are still buying, we don't manufacture anything from our end and sell it out to them. And they still want to come to buy only the raw material at 220 rupees and sell it back to us at 240 rupees, 2,200 rupees. 10 times, 20 times profit. So are we going to still sell our raw material at 1 rupee and buy it back from them 10 rupees? Saying that we Nagas are very good. You know, the farmers would say like, hey, they just came and took from the farm. I had to do nothing, man. It's so awesome. It's time to grow. You could be making 10 times profit out of that. So my thing is like, it's not that we would not export. Export is awesome. Let the world know what we do. And export should happen when we have surplus. When we can make the optimum profit here, why give it to others and buy back from them? My first question. Second, if the export happens when we have surplus, the exporters and the traders should be us Nagas only. So I had a gentleman visiting a business consultant who came and said, I have a good connection with a lot of people in the West, and they are willing to help people business grow. We are more towards social cause and things like that. And I'm like, that's awesome, but so how do we go about it? They said, we have people who are trading, so we'll tie you up with those people. And I said, that's awesome, but will that same organization come and train our Naga people how to do trading? Obviously, no. So this is something for us to chew as well. So to protect, to give justice to our resources, it's our third justice. And the fourth justice that we're looking at is in the way we receive education. The education system in India, if you know the history, was designed only to make you get into a clerical job. Did you know that? It was designed by the Britishers 200 years ago, and we still follow that. And are you sure we want all to be into the clerical job? Now, if you are MA, MCOM, MSc, it's beautiful, it's awesome, but we can only sit for UPSC exam or NPSC exam. That's it. We're not employable. I myself was not employable in my own business when I got into the coffee business. So I'll have to start studying, researching. And so what we do is we save up 10% of our company's proceeds to sponsor any Naga youth who wants to get themselves equipped with training skills that will help them get employment, that will make them employable. So as of now, we are also encouraging our own staff, our own team to go learn, but God willing, we would like to extend our hand to even anyone outside there who wants to get trained in the skills development sector to become employable. So it's our way of saying that we will seek justice even in the way we deal with this education system. And the fifth justice is, very recently, the Indian coffee culture, they came to our roastery and they interviewed us, and what do you think in 2.5 years is your growth as Ete Coffee? I was thinking then we did grow in terms of expansion of the cafes and business that we are networking with. We did have an expansion of extra mobile coffee bar. We have employed a few more people. But I realized that 70% of our investment was going into the intellectual property. And I think it's time for us Nagas, for us community doing business in Nagaland, to start investing on our intellectual property. Because I always get asked, okay, your roastery seems to be very interesting, very nice, it's doing really well, but if one day the owner asks you to leave, what happens? So if you invest on your intellectual property, if you invest on the process, even if you get kicked out, it follows you. It's like the dog Hachiko in Japan. It just stays with you. He finds the master. You don't find him. So in a business, I feel if we invest on that sector of our life, even if you want to run away, he'll come looking for you. And that to us means a lot of research, a lot of investment in the way we do our coffee. So we have 35 different coffees that we do research and we sell our coffee. And why just this then? Here's the thing. Some people come to us and ask for steaming, piping hot milk coffee. Wrong. You don't get a steaming, piping hot in a milk coffee. You want it then in a black coffee. We have about 14 to 20 cups of black coffee you can always go for. But that too, it's only 94 degrees. We don't go beyond that. We follow the SCA protocol of doing coffee, and milk coffee has to be 70 degrees. Now people come and they're like, it's cold. I think it needs a little improvement. And we are risking losing a customer. But even if it takes losing a customer, we will not do it wrong. Seek justice. Eventually, that is why it is you and I who will create the market and make it look like this is how coffee should look like. I know the fear psychosis, a lot of phobia has been created among ourselves because of the instant coffee. A little bit, a tinge of it, and you get gastritis, and you can't sleep, all of that. People come and they're scared of coffee. But we will demystify it. And we will do research, we will invest on our research, and we will make sure we get the coffee right and not harm people. That is one. And also, we will create the market and make it look, this is how coffee should look like. We're going to create an opportunity. If there's no one who have done, I always say it's so easy because there's no one to compete with you. So not having an opportunity is the biggest opportunity we have right now. This is the golden era for us. Let us not go looking for a job, therefore, but start creating jobs. Let us not look for a purpose in life. Let's stop that. I think it's time, you and I, all of us, we will create purpose. I want to just end this with a little story of mine. Like I told you, we grew up in a very, very happening family. We had the luxury of playing games and video games and bicycling and all of that, swimming and all of that. Never, none of them. It was so strict. Get up in the morning, go fetch some firewood, come back, go to schools, come back, and straight to the field, come back, study. That was the whole routine, our entire high school life. We're three of us. My younger sister, she passed away when she was very small, so we're just three of us now. My oldest sister, like I said, my mom worked really hard, and it's time for us to go out and study. That was my mom's dream. So my older sister went to Delhi for study. At that point of time, my older brother was sent to Imphal for study, and I was the last one at home, dwelling so hard, stripped of all the freedom. And finally, it's time for me to move out to college. I reached the city, the hostel, got into my room, through the back, and crashed on the couch. I'm finally free, said my mother. So eventually, we were all looking for freedom. I thought my mom cared, but she was looking for freedom. And I was also looking for a freedom. I was being just pretending to be a nice guy, nice boy there. But what happens when we came back? We came back and we started working, and we bought my mom a lot of gifts. We stopped him from working. We stopped rearing pigs. We stopped doing farming. It's been about, I don't remember when was the last time we did farming. So all of that, and we are able to give back to my mom, and we're able to receive from my mom. And I realized that is the real freedom. And real freedom is not from running away. And real freedom is from dwelling together and growing together and in giving and sharing, which is why Ete Coffee exists, to share knowledge. We are not here to compete with anyone. We are here to encourage you to do more business. If you have a cafe, come to us. We are willing to share with you and grow together. We cannot exist as an individual. We'll have to stay together. Let's not run away for freedom. Let's stay together and find the freedom within us. Thank you for having me. Thank you.